Back to college deadlock. Tonight is a story about monsters and men as Northwood University, the reigning champions of DCS Season 1 and dominant force throughout the league, losing 0 maps throughout the entirety of Season 2, are facing up against University of Nebraska-Lincoln. My name is Spaffelz. I am your host for tonight, and joining me on the desk is NavyBlue. Now, NavyBlue, as the Nebraska esports treasurer, I'm sure you're very familiar with the story I'm about to lay out. All the talk in the league has been about how do we position ourselves in a way to delay this matchup as long as possible. We don't want to face off against Northwood. Northwood's wins are a given. But now that you've made your way through the league, they are your final contenders. They are your final boss towards securing yourself a spot in the grand finals. What do you think that University of Nebraska-Lincoln will have to do to be able to have a shot this match?
Well, I will say that I think having a story is a very relevant part of this narrative because Nebraska esports has always been second, but I think this year we have it. Yep. All those years that we got second, those were warm-up rounds, those were training arcs, and this year it's all going to come to a climax, the pinnacle of Deadlock Gaming right here, and I am very excited to see it. And I think Nebraska has a lot of strategies that they've cooked up. I will not share those strategies, mostly because I don't know them, but that's okay, because that means I'm going to be just as excited as you are when we see them unfold on the battle.
And excited I am. Seeing the way that Nebraska-Lincoln were able to take down University of Toronto last week, it should have been a close matchup. It's the number 2 versus number 3 seed in this league. But it was an absolute dismantling of the status quo. Seeing them go down 2-0, and it wasn't even close. It was a blowout, both of those games. So coming into this next one, they're on a pretty hot streak. Northwood is, Northwood.
Yeah. The dominant force remains dominant.
Yep, very well. So looking at this bracket here, is there anything that stands out to you that maybe you want to touch upon before we head on to the draft?
It's mostly the fact that it's a lot of 2-0s all over the place, and I would like this to be the first map, or I would like this to be the first match that goes to map 3. I think that would be just so narratively satisfying, and I think that would make for an incredible viewership experience.
Yeah. Now that we're in this upper bracket finals, though, I'm super excited to see this be a closer series. I'm expecting a 2-1 here, and I'm going to be biased. I'm going to be upfront with my take. I think Northwood have this in the bag. I think they're going to take this 2-0 or 2-1, and you're welcome to disagree with me, but let's send it to the draft to see how these teams are going to set themselves up on that first foot.
Right.
So you mentioned previously, Nebraska-Lincoln have a lot of strats up their pocket, up their back pocket. How does Silver play into that with the ban?
Silver's just kind of a main ban nowadays. Silver can fit into a lot of different comps because in human form, Silver has a lot of pick potential. Chase them down, use the bullets to keep them immobilized, and take it from there. In Lycan form, Silver is an absolute beast. Goes from character to raid boss. I don't even think that strategy has to be worried about here. It's just a matter of this needs to be taken off the board. Speaking of strategy, though, the Venator pick here is important. One of the key players on Northwood's side is Venus. Now, Venus is a very strong player for Deadlock, and one of Venus's strongest picks is Venator. So UNL needs to take that off the board as quickly as possible, and that is what has happened.
Very well. And in the meanwhile, we do see Northwood University, they ban out that Dynamo, giving us a little bit of a precursor to what we might see throughout the rest of the draft. Right? He's a very strong general splash character, but also hiding a couple more secrets here as we see the Mina and the Infernus come out for Northwood.
Both are very strong characters. And I know that the Mina specifically is going to be Blur's. Blur is also a very strong player for Northwood. And so to be able to lock that in is going to be a major asset for Northwood's team.
For sure. Now we're looking at University of Nebraska-Lincoln's response to this, and it's going to be 2-3 Shiv Apollo Apollo has been a really big sticking point recently throughout the leagues. What's your take on that?
I think Apollo is going to be Cloud's pick. I casted for George Mason. I casted for Nebraska versus George Mason, and Cloud's gameplay on Apollo was nothing short of a masterclass. It was amazing to watch, and I think that's what they're going to try to replicate here. Is that Cloud is going to go on yet another one of his tears, and we are going to get the privilege of watching it.
I'm really excited to see that come through. Now, Northwood University, they wrap up the first half of their draft with a Lady Geist pick. Following that up into the bans, we see Billy get taken off the board, and Northwood choose to remove the Kelvin. So a lot less frontline throughout this match as Northwood, they lock in the Bebop.
It's interesting that there's 2 support bans coming out from the side of Northwood. I think that's trying to target Arctic, who is Nebraska's captain. Arctic plays a lot of support characters, and Dynamo and Kelvin in particular have a lot of playmaking potential with very powerful ultimates as well as overall strong hits. And so I think the plan is to try to take those off the board so that it gives Nebraska less options to engage in Snowball and Big Match.
For sure, I can definitely see that angle. Well, going into this further, University of Nebraska-Lincoln, they choose to pick up the Ivy, couple that up with the Mirage, and we're really starting to see this draft come out in full force. You've got 2 main carries, you've got your support lined up. In Northwood University, they're going to see this opportunity to pick their first support of the draft. It's going to be a Rem.
Interesting. Rem's going to be important to try to keep those carries alive, which Northwood has 3 of them, the Geist, Infernus, and the Nina. And so having the Bebop and Abrams there as frontliner CCs, and having the Rem be there as support, this looks like a very strong team comp coming out from the side of Northwood.
Yep, and out with the last pick, we see the Abrams come out for Northwood University, and the Paradox for Nebraska-Lincoln. So now that we're in a spot where we have both of these drafts completed, what's your take here? How do you feel about these drafts?
I think Northwood's got the stronger team going into this, having a more balanced team comp, but I do think Nebraska has the more threats, the more characters who can definitely run away with the game if left unchecked. Nebraska is full of very strong players, and so I think that it's going to take a very keen eye and a steady hand by Northwood to keep this game under their control.
And I'm raring to see it. I'm hearing word that the game is ready. We're about to go into, sorry, it's not ready yet. Producers correcting me.
Almost.
But it's almost ready.
Us.
We're almost there. Yeah. I've been waiting. I've been ready. I've been anticipating this all day. And to see the top 2 teams in the league battle it out this way, starting off on the right foot with the draft, I'm personally a huge fan of Infernus. So to see it come out here as your primary/secondary carry, between the Infernus and the Lady Geist, you're going to have a pretty equal damage split between the 2 of them. And what's really going to make a difference in this is who do you make your dedicated side laner? Probably going to be the Geist, so she can get up in souls very early. And then you get that Infernus, especially with his ultimate, to start to drive your fights. Now, we did touch on this a little bit earlier, but Arctic and Crims are going to be your captains for Northwood, or for Nebraska-Lincoln and Northwood, respectively, and they're both support players, right? How do you see that factoring in here to the game plan?
I think it's going to impact a lot of how that support happens. And I think you see a lot of this difference. For example, Arctic is playing Ivy, and Ivy's more of a map presence kind of character, what with the very powerful flight. And Northwood has Rem. That's more of a individual focus. I think we're going to see that in action now.
Yep, things are heating up. Game 1 of this best of 3 series is underway. And we now have the full reveal of our lane assignments. What I want to bring extra attention to right now is the matchup currently in this middle lane. Mid lane is super impactful for its ability to roam, as well as the availability of the income. You've got lots of convenient box routes, and you have plenty of access to your side route angles. So So we're seeing here, it's going to be a Bebop and a Geist pairing running up into a Venator combined with a Paradox.
Interesting. I gotta say, I think Nebraska's having some of their less like carry-focused characters in mid lane, because the Paradox and the Venator are not going to be the ones making the plays here. They're not going to be the ones that are the headliners here. I mean, they might make exciting like engages, but they're not going to be the ones racking up body after body. So I'm wondering what Nebraska's plan is here. I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of side lane dominance and then snowballing that into the main lanes using the great ability they have with Ivy's Flight and Mirage's Travel.
Yeah, we already see here there's going to be a bit of lane abandonment. You're going to see a really early tier 1 camp clear there from Northwood University, sort of stealing it away from their opponents. And a little bit of an altercation as Rem gets caught up in the middle of his box routes. It's 2 minutes. You're already starting to see how these teams are raring and ready to go for a fight.
Indeed. I remember seeing a lot of very early gunfights in gameplay. I think it was against Toronto, especially with Arctic and as Dynamo, and I don't remember who, but as Yamato dueling. And I think we're going to be seeing quite a bit of that now, because it's going to be all about getting that early dominance and trying to roll that into a stronger lead later in the match. So hopefully we see that.
Yep, I'm definitely hoping to see it. We see the Rem here starting to get caught out a little bit, making the box routes, but University of Nebraska-Lincoln, they're on top of things right now. They're matching those rotates and able to stay on top of a lot of these trades. So, yep, actually, wait, is this correct? So,
names are not quite correct.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I'm hearing word that the sides are correct, but the names are still underway.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's focus. Like I said, what's interesting is this Paradox is dueling quite a bit. You saw them harassing the Rem. Now they're harassing the Lady Geist, and I think that's interesting. Just trying to be as much of a disruptor as possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
As we zoom now towards this fight, see Paradox getting away with very low health. It's not a position that you want to be in this early in the game, especially when you're running up against a Bebop who has a lot of ability to use those bombs, and once he gets Hyper Beam, have a pretty strong ranged attack. Is going to force them to take a bit of an early recall, especially considering at 5 minutes we have those bridge buffs.
Interesting. All right. Oh, and we see a kill coming out. The Malachite is down. I don't quite know who got that kill. Let's see if I can fix. There we go. And already we are seeing Nebraska coming out to a very slight soul lead. That's probably less than 1,000, but still, every little bit counts, especially when we're not even 5 minutes into the game.
Yep, now the teams are making their rotates over 10 seconds until these buffs are about to spawn. It's going to be a knockdown onto Crims, but he's able to get away with it. And now fighting over this buff, it's going to be a parry. The parry doesn't get anything. It's actually the buff stolen by the Rem. Stromo finds himself in a tough situation. The crossbow comes out. Is not able to render him any kills. It's a bit of a horror situation.
Yeah, that was not what you want to see at the moment. A lot of scuffle over that bridge buff, but hopefully Nebraska got the second bridge buff. Not quite sure who got that one, but I think it's a good start, because I think Nebraska's got a bit of a weaker early game. I think they both got very strong late games. I think this match is only going to get more interesting as things go on.
Yeah, there's a lot of room here for things to still pop off. Having our first altercation already end that way with an exciting parry fight, that's definitely some of the action that I'm looking for. Now, we do see a crash down come out from behind the Guardian. The Apollo's going to be able to maneuver it very well, drop down to about 600 HP, is going to be able to retreat Instead, he decides to go back in further with Itania Lozana. The execute followed up from Neptic. He gets traded, though. And all in all, it's a 1-for-1.
Wow. And they're not done yet.
Yep.
Blur is chasing Cloud down.
Yep, Mina following things up. The Nox Nostra comes out, but the parry is going to be able to get the Apollo out of there.
We do see a little... Ability. Good to see Cloud using it to its full effect.
Yep, a little bit of hunting there from the Bebop is going to get him caught out, and now with the Shiv back in action, going to hunt him down with a couple knives in the back. It does look like Apollo ends up paying the ultimate price for it. Didn't see the Mina quite being there. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, we get a kill into a paradoxical swap, and even though the Guardian was parried, Abrams is falling extremely low for comfort.
Not low enough, though. Abrams is nothing if not resilient. You can already see that health bar starting to creep back up.
And creep back up it is, and this Guardian has been under siege. It's down below half HP, and losing your Guardian this early will really prevent you from having a lot of real estate on the map with the Sinners coming up soon.
Indeed. It's important to keep items purchased and a steady flow of new things at a regular time. What is this Ivy up to? I think this is going to be the first of many, many ganks we are going to see this game. Now, as Ivy levels up her ultimate, it's going to get stronger and stronger, because eventually that bomb that she drops will silence enemies. It makes it very difficult to fight back and makes ganks a lot stronger. Ganks, I think Shermo's in trouble here. Never mind, gets out. Good to see that.
Yep, difficult situation they find themselves in, but are able to navigate it pretty well. Now, these teams are starting off respecting each other, making their way throughout these waves. You see Nebraska Lincoln putting a lot of emphasis here on clearing before making their way to their own Sinners. You know, the Infernus on Northwood has cleared their Sinners first, just to make sure that there's no chance of tomfoolery.
So we see tomfoolery.
Yep. Cheeky gank here from the Bebop, attaches a bomb, but no spirit items means no kill. And even though the riposte comes out, the flawless advance is what's going to have to make him move. He ultimately ends up falling to the Bebop bomb, and that dive went so good to so bad, and ultimately, at least it ended up with a kill.
It is very tricky right now, because the soul count favors Northwood, but University of Nebraska Lincoln has taken more Guardians. Evens it out a little more there as Blur takes down the Guardian on yellow. Probably yellow. But still, it's still quite even.
Yep, airdrop there into a stone form is going to do a significant amount of damage to this. Bebop falls low, is dancing around that building, and ultimately ends up falling alongside the Guardian. Now I got to talk about it, Navy. We've been through this early game. We are 9 minutes in so far. How has this shaped up compared to your expectations going in?
Well, it's certainly been as much of a slugfest as I was anticipating, but I am a little worried in how it's starting to favor Northwood, at least in soul count. I do know that Nebraska is going to be favoring the micro. Oh, hang on. Sorry to pause, but it looks like this Lady Geist is in trouble. Probably gets out here.
Able to make her way back, but it's going to be the Bebop that says no you and pulls the Paradox into a sticky situation. The swap is able to come through, but the Rem ultimate puts her to sleep, and she's about to get put down 6 feet under, as it's going to be the Apollo next up in line. The riposte was used very early on, didn't get much distance, and now he's just going to have to use those fancy feet to get away from this one.
I think Cloud gets out, which is nice, but again, this is not a favorable engagement. I'm hoping to see some comeback later in the game.
Yep.
It does look like Cloud is trying to take some territory back from this Lady Geist. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Urn's being run.
Yep, the Infernus, they're using the Flame Dash. It looks like he'll arrive to the Urn a little bit too early. It's going to be the price. It's going to be a parry into a stun, but Shud Lion is the one that ends up going down. There's no beans for you. Ivy now sitting around with the urn, trying to find an angle, but Northwood University are swarming the drop-off location. They've got CC, they've got the melees. They're ready and raring to go. University of Nebraska Lincoln, they need an angle for it. It's going to be the hook there onto the Paradox. The stone form from the Ivy means that the urn is going to be dropped. Now they're attempting this pickup. It's going to be a parry actually in there deeper. Tani Lasan rips out, is able to execute the Bebop. Also does a lot of damage there to that Rem, and with the urn securely in the hands of Northwood, they're just zooming in for more goodies. We see Icy drop down to 1 HP even after the soul swap brings her back up a little bit higher. Wow, that was an exchange.
Indeed. Now, in the middle of all that, Abrams and therefore Northwood was able to claim the urn. But I think that Nebraska, that was a little better. Because Nebraska is now in a bit of a better spot, at least team fight-wise.
Yep.
It's like Paradox and the Abrams are dueling it out, and it's not going in Paradox's favor. Arctic's trying to buy time, but I'm going to pay for it with the Guardian. That's all Guardians down for this match.
Good management there, knowing their limits, knowing when to back out and when to engage deeper. See this Mina here hunting down her own kill on the other side of the map, but the Venator is just a little bit too tricky for her to get a hold of. Stromo being able to disengage with a massive 4,000 souls in the back pocket. I wonder what he's going to buy with that.
I was going to make a guess, but I don't know enough about gun characters at all to make it an accurate assumption. Play support. So,
yep, that's fair.
Yeah. Oh,
no
I think the
worries.
ship's in trouble. Or will soon be in trouble. Oh, never mind. I forget Rem's in the sewers, as one does.
Yeah, the little box goblin, yes, the bug was fixed that removed a lot of the power from being able to use your little helper's combination with a melee to double your chance of getting a drop. Regardless, though, it's still a very optimal route, and you see the Rem is sitting here pretty at 11,000 souls, which I may remind you is more than Shromo, who's on a Venator right now.
Indeed. That is a lot of souls. Speaking of Shromo, getting into a duel with the Mina, and I think it is going Mina's way. Yeah, Shromo's going to have to retreat and look for some other way to get some souls. Meanwhile, Paradox and Apollo are moving in to try to help out on yellow lane.
Yeah, looking for this angle here. They know just how aggressive Blur can be, and with a slowing Hex in the back pocket, we have a very sneaky Paradox waiting for her to come by. She's clearing out the wave. She doesn't know what's about to happen. And the hover just continues on. Apollo with a more aggressive take instead. Uses the flawless advance, gets a little bit of chunk damage, but ultimately doesn't amount to much.
Mina is too fast, will not be tied down by Nebraska. Fortunately, it looks like this Guardian will be sufficient enough price. Never mind. The Abrams and the Rem is here, and it is time to retreat.
Getting damage on those walkers early is a very good idea, and especially as we hit the 15 to 20 minute mark, walkers are going to reach a pretty high soul value where it's going to start being worth taking. We do see here, though, the Mirage gets caught off guard, and that's not somewhere Sometime wants to be. With the Infernus guys being a pretty lethal combo together, we weren't really expecting that.
Oh no, I think Cloud's in trouble here.
Yeah.
Actually, nope, never mind. Gets out. I think probably used an air vent there. Probably a good call there.
Yep. Now, looking forward, it's 15 minutes. Northwood University claim a 12,000 soul lead, which means a comeback urn is in the books. Although they do have the advantage so far on this urn drop-off points. Where do you see things going from here?
I think this urn is going to be a top priority for Nebraska Lincoln. But I think Northwood also knows that as the Rem grabs it and immediately tries to book it back to base. Cloud is in pursuit, but I don't think... Oh, what is going on over there? It is a duel in a shoebox. I don't know who's actually going to win this. I think it'll be Cloud. Never mind. The entire team is here. We have a team fight on our hands. Cloud is in trouble.
The riposte used in there. Infernus dropping dangerously into Itani Losan territory, but being in a tight corridor means you can't really see your angles. Elsewhere on the map, Shromo gets taken down, and Northwood have their pickings on this left-hand walker.
Yes. All right. As you can see, Urn was grabbed by Rem, who backed up with it, and basically taking it out of Nebraska's hands, playing keep away. In the meantime, Bebop is putting on side lane pressure, trying to get as much damage done as possible. Stromo is here to do damage control.
Yep. From their current position, Northwood, they have a lead, but they're not comfortable sieging this deep into enemy team territory. It's going to be difficult for them to do anything with Niren other than stall.
I don't think this Lady Geist goes down, but I think Cloud will get her close.
Yep. Doing a lot of damage here. The slowing hex comes through only after the dash, and the Itani Losan now not low enough of a health percentage. They're going to be able to do a lot of damage to him, though, and Cloud struggling to get away with his life. The Resto Locket is able to give him just a little bit more that he needs not to die on the spot. And ultimately, out of that outcome, University, Nebraska, Lincoln, they invest so much and get so little, and Northwood now have claimed their first walker.
Woody Seth goes down again. Nebraska needs to stem the bleeding and stem it quickly. Here's Arctic. Oh, accidentally punching the Geist. And Arctic is going down. That is another kill for the side of Northwood. Nebraska, please.
Northwood have a commanding lead so far on this match, and it doesn't even matter that this fight's not over yet, because I believe in what they've been able to show me. Cloud ends up taking down Blur, and we have him stuck in a position where he's not able to escape the Infernus, able to get that last tick of damage. The Venator now taking a little bit of a nap in a rough spot, is going to get set on fire. May have been telling a couple too many lies in his recent history. Shiv is the next one up, and the Bebop is bloodthirsty, hunting them down, trying to satiate some of that thirst with some juicy bloodletting. Neptic able to use those fancy feet to get a little bit further away, and a nice parry there is able to shut down the Bebop for a little bit, getting the kill there with the execute, but the melee is going to get parried, and Icy is now the one chasing them down, now the one looking for it. Neptic falls. At the end of this long trade, we see still Northwood have a firm grasp on this match.
Nebraska needs to stem the bleeding, getting picked off one by one by one. Feels like there's fights that get started and then Nebraska scuttles to try to group up as a team to win it, but by then it's too late. I think that Nebraska does get the earn here, which will definitely tip things back in their favor. Let's see by how much. Still
and the
about
mid-boss is going down. The roar was sounded. It's pretty slow as it's only 19 minutes into the game so far. Nebraska they have all the time in the world to make it. But a grenade comes through it, finds three, but it's only going to be the Regios going the way of Northwood. Very happy, no doubt, with this outcome.
Indeed. Okay. Now is the time to back up. Like, Sometime is in a dangerous position here, with Rejuve on the board and a Mina and a Bebop circling. Sometime needs to never mind. Sometime is dead. Actually, no, maybe not.
It's going to be a slow and painful death, but anything for Nishala, as they would say, it did get dragged out a little bit. Judging by the ultimate cooldown, I didn't see it, but Mirage very likely TP to deep into enemy territory, looking for those walkers, looking for those objectives. And University of Nebraska Lincoln are actually doing pretty solid here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Nebraska is trying to equalize things, keep things still within their court. I think we're going to see the next duel coming out here. I don't think Nebraska can be coming for duels right now. They are not in a position to be winning these one-on-ones. And so right now, Nebraska needs to focus on farming as much as they can and preventing this earn. This is an important part. Rem is starting the earn. We cannot allow this to happen.
Yeah, but with
I don't
three
know if Nebraska is
rejuves
in a position to stop it.
Yep, with 3 rejuves on the table, there is going to be a very strong force here for Northwood, a very good case for them claiming this. And I'm also surprised to see it's a neutral earn. It's not even deep into enemy territory, so it's going to have to be conceded. Yep.
Oh no. Oh no.
Now we do see
This
here a
Bebop
hook
is
from
causing
the
problems.
Bebop. The lifeline does grab them out, though, and it's going to be a rem nap time to split the team up. Northwood, though, still in a pretty
Yes.
commanding situation here. Things haven't
Cloud is
popped
in
off quite
trouble.
yet as the Iridamini comes out, is able to delay the inevitable as Cloud is the first one to die. Looking here further around this Tier 3 camp, University of Nebraska Lincoln are lining up like pins waiting for this bowling ball, and it's going to be the Infernus that sets them ablaze. Arctic is the next one to fall. Make that 2 with Shromo following in close pursuit. The Walker making it 3. Northwood, where was this?
I don't know. I'm very concerned right now. I will say I have come back from games like these, but those were also games in Ritualist where a lot goes, you know? At
Yep.
higher levels of gameplay, like what we're seeing here, these mistakes that compound into larger and larger issues are a lot harder to rectify and a lot harder to come back from. I'm not entirely sure where Nebraska's angle is. Because they don't have the ability to fight at the moment. They're way too much at a soul deficit to even attempt it. So right now they either need to get some good picks somehow, or they need to catch Northwood unawares and get an objective. Either way, it is going to be an uphill battle.
30k souls is super difficult for them to come back from, especially with the itemization we're seeing come out of Northwood. They've completed their primary item spikes. Now they're just building towards the counter items. They're sitting here with 29k souls on the Infernus. He's going to start building that infuser. He's going to have the escalating exposure. And no matter how many resists you're able to start to shoehorn into your build, he's going to be able to shred through it with that Flame Dash. Oh, looking at the rest of the team, you got 9 seconds left on this rejuve. Okay, it's completely over. The threat has been neutralized. We're looking further, though, right?
I think Red starts when he start making up.
Yep.
And it is playing this very well. They know that Nebraska is hungry for picks to try to eat, so they are trying to sap every bit of souls out of the map as they can possibly can, and to great effect, I might add.
So from the current situation, many would consider this game to be a foregone conclusion. You see Northwood University setting up for the ultimate checkmate. You've got the mid-buff, mid-boss coming up soon. You've got Urns respawning. If you're University of Nebraska Lincoln, what's your Hail Mary play here?
I think the Hail Mary play is an Urn, but not to secure the Urn, but to get kills. Ideally, the pressure placed by the pressure exerted by the Urn causes some Northwood players to get out of position, opening things up. But I'm not entirely sure if Northwood's going to fall into that trap. They haven't so far.
Yep. And we do see here a bit of an altercation. Cloud making their way away. Apollo is a very difficult character to catch, especially when you don't have a slowing hex on hand.
Indeed.
They are going to gank it a little bit from that side. Yeah, able to do a bit of damage, getting some solid investment in there, making sure he's not available to contest this Urn pickup as it's coming up soon.
Yeah. See, I think they're deathballing it up right now and trying to get a pick.
Yep.
And it might work. This Ram is in trouble.
The Stormform there from Ivy, to stun up Crims was a good play. And now as the clock is past 25 minutes, we see, actually, it's not going to be an Urn fight. It's going to be a Flame Dash straight into the heart of the enemy team. They're driving this stake through.
Sometimes down.
And Mirage is taking so much damage. Nox Nostra comes out here from Mina, not able to relocate in time to use the rest of it better. But that's the pick they needed. That's the advantage they're going to be able to use to set themselves up for success. Apollo doing a good amount of damage here, trying to dissuade the opponents from coming through. Crash down onto the Venator, is able to stun him into the wall, do a good melee hit, and now Shromo's dropped down to low HP, gets taken out, and now Mina is forced on that back foot. Northwood University able to sneak away with 2 kills as they're dropping off the urn at the same time.
This was disastrous. The Venator going down was not what we needed right now. Both of the characters who are going to be doing the most damage are off the board at the moment. Cloud has a lot of killing potential, but only when they're really low. Cloud's there to mop up whatever's left. And now, without all this pressure, Northwood is just going to be able to capture mid and then push into Nebraska's base.
Setting up your queens in position. You are trying to take this king, and Nebraska Lincoln, they're making that Hail Mary play now. The Shiv gets caught out on the approach. Airdrop from the Ivy comes through. They are going to be able to land a stun, potentially saving their lives, but it's going to be a deeper engaged steal. The pull comes out, and Shiv is safe.
Excellent work from Arctic there, although Seth does go down.
Yep.
That's okay, though. I think that's an acceptable loss. That's an acceptable sacrifice, because all of the most important players are still on the board. That's a missed hook. That's another good advantage for Nebraska. Although Shromo is in a vulnerable position right now, trying to go for the fight. Cloud is in trouble.
The riposte still buying him more distance. He's able to dance around his opponents, but doesn't do much in turn. Neptic here, though, is getting CC locked, is going to get taken down to low health and eventually murdered. See Cloud here finally get caught by the end of the Bebop hook, not once, but twice. Yes, he's able to escape. But now the Venator is the one who takes his place in the grave. We see the Mirage dropping down to low HP. Yes, gets the parry, but where is the follow-up? University of Nebraska Lincoln down 3 members. One of them is coming up soon. And Northwood, they have a split focus right now. We're going to send half our team to this mid-boss, and the other half is going to start working on raising those base guardians.
Indeed. And I think the Bebop goes down here, but yep. That's going to be at least one thing of the Rejuve burned, which is good. Maybe. There we go. That's a kill. That took a concerningly long time. That does not bode well for Nebraska, especially when Cloud is in. Oh, Cloud gets out. That's good. But still, Nebraska is in trouble. Northwood is at the gates, and Nebraska needs to do everything they can to repel and buy themselves more time. Cloud is high flying, trying to get the picks.
Northwood finally getting the payoff for their setup. Able to take down one shrine, the second one close behind. Going to be downing the patron shortly after that. University of Nebraska Lincoln, they are fully up. This is the last time that they're going to be able to fight in this match. It's going to be the engage here from Cloud to kick things off. They are going to get sent into an early nap time. And you see the Ivy taking 2 of their places. Is going to fall down. And now we see Northwood. They're hunting deeper. They're looking at those spawn doors. Malachite able to pull one out. But the Paradox, with some swifty air moves, is able to make her way back into the spawn doors. It doesn't matter if you survive, though, because the Hidden King is on his last legs.
I think this is a bit of a good game. That might be it for game 1. Unless Nebraska somehow pulls out a hero play, then it's ending right here, right now.
Northwood invested all of their ultimates into that prior fight. There is going to be a potential, if there ever was one, but Shromo ends up biting the bullets. And the Hidden King losing more and more health. You're not putting enough men in this pit. It finally goes invulnerable, but it's going to be the Shiv that gets caught. The Etonian Lausanne goes through this team, but nobody's low enough to find that execute angle. We see the kill there on the Neptic now. Nebraska Lincoln, GG's, but Northwood have set out with blood on their mind, and they've gotten plenty of it.
Yeah. Said it's just little by little, Nebraska is going down. They're not going down without a fight, but that's all they can offer at the moment. And with that, Northwood claim game 1.
Pretty intense first game. We saw plenty of trading, lots of boxing throughout the early laning phase. But when push came to shove, it did feel like Northwood were very ahead when it came to those objectives, when it came to the way that they situated themselves on the map. UNL, they were able to hang. They were able to trade back. But in the longer term, in that bigger picture, you've got to win those fights. And Northwood did seem more capable of that, at least in game 1.
Yeah. And that's what I'm concerned about. There was a lot of strong characters in that.
Yep.
Like, the Bebop was causing a lot of problems. And a lot of that comes from Witchmail, an item that, if you take enough spirit damage, can completely reset one of your cooldowns. And when you use your cooldowns as frivolously as a Bebop does, that means your hook is always coming back online. One of the best CC abilities in the game, bar none. I mean, not counting ultimates, but let's be honest. If you get a hook item, if you get a hook ability like that so quickly, that's going to be a massive advantage.
Thank you for that insight. I didn't really see an item being that transformative on Bebop, but you definitely make a very good case for it. You should consider being an item salesman.
You know what? Maybe I will be voicing the next shopkeeper in Deadlock. Buy my voice back.
Very well. Looking at that rest of the scoreboard, though, I don't think there was too much that was surprising to me. You've got a lot on the table. You see the Lady Geist there with 20 whole assists, participating in the vast majority of these kills. So he was absolutely everywhere on this map. You didn't really have a lull moment. You didn't have a dedicated side laner. It felt like Northwood were just sending everything at the problem, and it did seem to come out on top.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this was very much in Nebraska, or this was very much in Northwood's favor. Like I said in drafting phase, this was going to be a very good team comp for Northwood. Having all these strong characters and then also having the support needed to back them up and elevate them to their full potential, that is what we saw, and that is why Northwood were very dominant in this match.
Now, while we prepare for this next match, while UNL are taking this opportunity to sharpen their stakes, reload their silver bullets, and Northwood, they're licking the blood off their claws, we're going to send you guys over to a quick break before game number 2.